New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
And as the thousands cheer, a very pleasant Friday evening to you. We are live this evening. Yes, live for a change. This is a Friday evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am the Reverend Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting this evening from the top secret radio room inside the extra secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio, that is so secure and so top secret that only one person, and that is my former producer, Diego Reyes, only he knows where it's at. Everyone else has no clue, especially my boss, the Reverend Robert Brzezinski. He has no clue where the top secret bunker is located, and we're going to keep it that way. That's so he can't find me. Well, hi there. Good to see everyone this evening. We do have a wonderful show for you. Please feel free to interact with us by posting your comment on Facebook or on YouTube. And again, for all my shy people out there, I know you're out there and you do not comment. I get that. All you need to do is to send me an email at pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. And I do read those during the week. So the purpose of our fireside chat here is to get real. Again, we get our cup of hot cocoa. We go ahead and put a few logs in the fire. And we talk about real things. And we try not to sugarcoat them or try to deny them, as some New Thought people will do. You deny the thought of it. You deny the reality of it. Again, that it does not have any reason to be there. So you deny that, but you don't deny what's in front of you. Ernest Holmes never taught that. So what we do is we talk about what's going on in the news and also have on guests that will, again, to help us to live this spiritual life in this day and age. Well, our guest this evening, after asking him, I think it was last night, the host of Miracle of Prosperity, seen weekly Sunday evenings here on your New Thought Media Network at 8 Eastern Time. Minister and best-selling author, the Reverend Jim Webb, will be my special guest here at the bottom of the hour. Jim has a new book out called The 30 P's to Prosperity. They used to teach me in broadcast school. They said, now don't pop your P's, but 30 P's to Prosperity. And he will be doing another P. He'll be holding a pop-up class in just a couple of weeks. So we're going to talk to Reverend Jim Webb in just a few moments about that. Well, lots of news this evening. Of course, what is going on right now in Israel. Israel has called on all citizens and Gaza City to leave their homes and head south today ahead of a potential ground invasion in response to Hamas terror attacks that have killed more than 1,300 people. The UN, however, United Nations, said that an order for mass evacuations was impossible without major humanitarian consequences. Israel has amassed more than 300,000 reservists along its southern border for its possible intensified military operations. But Hamas militants told Palestinians living in the besieged Gaza Strip not to leave their homes. Also, protests are erupting around the world as supporters of both pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian movements are gathering outside embassies, government buildings, and college campuses. And in recent days, many of the world's most recognizable landmarks have also been illuminated in the blue and white colors of the Israeli flag as a show of solidarity. If that wasn't enough, EU officials have issued a warning to TikTok on Thursday about illegal content and disinformation on the platform linked to the war between Israel and Hamas. The EU called for TikTok's CEO to respond within 24 hours and warned that failure to comply with its laws around content moderation could result in penalties. So that leads to an article that I found this week from Vox.com, which says this: don't believe everything you hear or see about Israel and Palestine. After Hamas militants launched a surprise attack on Israel on October the 7th, killing at least 1,000 and taking at least 150 hostages, and Israel declaring war against Hamas and retaliating, photos and videos of violence flooded out of the region and onto social media. Some of the images were posted by victims on the ground at the attack. Some were reportedly seeded by Hamas, but others were years old, taken from conflict zones in other parts of the world, or even from a fictional video game. For the average internet user, knowing what information to trust online has never been more challenging. So it goes on to say that past reliable sources like X, formerly known as Twitter, and also TikTok, again, has been used to give out misinformation about what is going on both sides. So there is a method that is used by digital experts to shift or to get the real kernel of the information out of all the weeds. And the acronym is called SIFT, S-I-F-T. And this is developed by digital literary expert Michael Caulfield. So the SHIFT method breaks down into 4 steps. First of all, S, stop. You investigate the source. You find better coverage and then trace the claims, quotes, and media to the original content. That stop step could do a lot of work during a major violent conflict like the Israeli-Hamas war. People get engagement on questionable or untrue posts during breaking news by tugging on your emotions and beliefs. So the SIFT method, again, is stop. You investigate the source. You find better coverage, and then you trace the claims and quotes back to that. Now, I had to do a lot of that during the throes of COVID-19. Everybody was coming out with their own opinion about what to do and what to take. And so some of the things that were quoted, what I found out was, again, it was some source that was, again, being misquoted. But again, unless I went ahead and I went back to the original source, I wouldn't have found that out. So let's all pray for peace and justice in the Middle East. There has long been a challenge with the Israeli treatment of the Palestinians on the West Bank. And that does not justify Hamas's attack on Israel. War is clearly not the answer here. And there has been war and rumors of war for thousands of years. Read the Jewish Bible, or Tanakh, also known as the Old Testament. Please watch what you share on social media about the conflict. Ask yourself this question: does this promote peace or not? And I join both Jew and Palestinian in praying for peace and a positive solution that does create economic safety and justice for all. Also in the news this evening, I thought that my former producer, Diego Reyes, was going to be with us this evening. This was his favorite story. Anything on COVID-19. Not. I used to joke him about that. Well, more than 7 million Americans have received a dose of the updated COVID-19 vaccine since it became available in September. The Department of Health and Human Services said on Thursday, the CDC recommended vaccines from Moderna and also Pfizer BioNTech for everyone 6 months and older on September 12th. An updated vaccine from Novavax, which became available this month, is recommended for people 12 and over. In comparison, when last year's COVID-19 booster was available, more than 18 million people have received a dose by October 12, 2022, about 6 weeks after the CDC signed off on it. The new COVID-19 vaccines have been updated to target currently circulating coronavirus variants. And as I have said for 3 years, is that the science has been correct. I have received all the booster shots, and I'm going on Monday to receive this COVID-19 booster shot. If I really thought that it was unsafe, I would not get it. But again, you have to make your own decision. And that Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science, Mind, and Spirit, always wanted us to follow the science. He was never against good doctors, good scientists. And again, that the COVID-19 variants have followed, again, what the scientists have said. So again, if you have not gotten your booster shot yet, please consider going and doing that. I'm going on Monday, right before I travel, giving myself a day. But again, I encourage you to go do that. That is probably one of the more spiritual things that you can do. But again, it's up to you, but I encourage that. All right, our last story here is that Pope Francis signals openness to blessings for same-sex couples. This is interesting. Pope Francis opened the door on Monday for some Catholic priests to bless same-sex unions. hinting at a reversal of the official Vatican position that has put it at odds with many of its own progressive followers. However, Francis outlined some major caveats, including that they should be decided upon case by case and not seen as the equivalent to heterosexual wedding ceremonies. Isn't that interesting? As recent as 2021, the Vatican says that it cannot condone same-sex unions because God cannot bless sin. But on Monday, the Pope signaled that there could be exceptions to that stance. He said this, he says, "We cannot be judges who only deny, reject, and exclude," he said in a letter to 5 conservative cardinals who asked for clarity on the issue ahead of a major global gathering on the future of the church that began on Wednesday. Though Vatican policy has not changed, Francis's comments have been seen by some LGBTQ Catholics as a huge step in undoing the marginalization that they still experience within the church despite his decades of modernization. Say that 3 times. The timing of the debate is significant, according to New Ways Ministry. Although the 5 conservative cardinals have asked their questions in July, the letter has been published right before the Synod, a meeting at the Vatican in which LGBTQ issues are on the agenda. Francis, who is now 86, who has encountered a number of health problems in recent years, is no stranger to progressive causes. And I wanted to stop there. He said a few years ago that he supported same-sex blessings or same-sex civil unions in South America. He has been a leading voice on issues from climate change to refugees. On the same-sex issue, he was asked months into his papacy about the sexual orientation of priests, responding, "Who am I to judge?" As I was saying to the Reverend Dr. Jim Webb before we started our program this evening, isn't that confusing? Okay, so it's okay for your local priest to bless your same-sex union, but it's still morally wrong in the eyes of the church. And several bishops and cardinals from around the world disagree with the pontiff, especially here in the United States. So a few weeks ago, I read a story about my local Catholic Diocese of Cleveland coming down on the LGBTQ plus community by issuing a mandate for all diocesan schools to not use requested pronouns, to not honor trans students, or allow individuals to dress outside their, and I'll put this in quotes, God-given gender. And this is one of the reasons why people are leaving the Catholic Church in droves. And the U.S. bishops and cardinals tend to be on the conservative side, still saying that homosexuality is a sin. Again, personally, I love and accept all. I have performed in the past, and I will continue to perform in the future same-sex weddings. And I encourage all of us to keep the light of acceptance to the LGBTQ plus community and to know that there is no separation in oneness. Love will win over this. All right? Well, if Diego was here, he would have been proud of me because I only spent 20 minutes on the news. So he would have been extremely proud of me. Let's see who's commenting this evening. This is the Honorable Judge Henry Harris. Hi, Tracy. Tracy's with us this evening. Tracy's also saying affirmative prayers for peace. This is how that we can, again, God is on both sides here. Taking sides is not the issue. Knowing that the divine in each and every person is coming forth to bring about peace. That's the solution. All right. Jim Webb is having more of a conversation with individuals than I usually do. That's okay. Hello, Michael. Wonderful show. Well, hi, Tracy. Glad to have you along this evening. All right. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take a break for announcements. We'll do a commercial break. And as Jim Webb says, we are going to sell some soap. And then we'll be back with the Reverend Jim Webb. Yours truly is currently parking himself at Summit CSL. For more information, you can go to summitcsl.org. There you will find more information about our wonderful Sunday service. That's at 10:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific Time. Grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your espresso. I had today at Starbucks, not one, not two, not three, but 4 shots of espresso. It was wonderful. So wake up your espresso machine and just be with us. Again, we have one of the best services I've seen in New Thought. And this Sunday, our speaker will be our music director, independent New Thought minister, the Reverend John Miller. So go to summitcsl.org for more information on how to join our Zoom call. And also most of our past programs that I am on is on Facebook and also on YouTube. All right. Robert and I just got back from conference. This is our 3rd conference this year. We provide services to New Thought organizations at a cost of 1/3 of what it would run if they would go ahead and to get those kind of services outside of our organizations. And we still have bills to pay too. If you could please go to ntmedia.org/donate. We are doing wonderful work in the world, and you can help us by giving a very generous one-time gift, which is very nice, or you can do like myself and Jim Webb. We give a sustaining gift each and every month to the network. The reason being is because that not only the good work that we're doing, but that we can go ahead and we can set budgets. We can go ahead and we can plan ahead. We can pay out salaries. We can pay travel expenses, of which I have to still submit mine. So again, if you could please just go to ntmedia.org/donate. There again, please give a very generous gift. And if you are one of our supporters, thank you so very much. We appreciate your support. You are one of the light bringers. You would not be here at this time if it wasn't your task, not only to love, but also to help bring in the age of Aquarius, the age of light, the age of enlightenment. So again, ntmedia.org/donate. And thank you so very much. Okay. Time to sell some soap, and then we'll be right back. You're watching the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on your, and I mean your, New Thought Media Network.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
One of my joys is to be able to work with world-class people. And one of them is our next guest here on the New Thought Media Network, the Reverend Jim Webb, who is the host of our prosperity program here on the New Thought Media Network, The Miracle of Prosperity. He's also a best-selling author with The Soul of Prosperity. He's written several books, including the latest one called The 30 P's to Prosperity, as I purposely pop my P's into the microphone. And also, he holds a variety of classes. Jim has probably one of the most popular programs on our network. And we're just so glad to have him. Good evening, Reverend Jim Webb. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, Michael, and thank you for inviting me to be on your show. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So, what have you been doing these days? I hear that you have another best-selling book called The 30 P's to Prosperity. And my first question is, why another prosperity book?
Because prosperity is such a broad, yet integral process for our spiritual growth. My big book, I call it the big book like the 12-step program because it's 260 pages, is The Soul of Prosperity. But after I wrote The Soul of Prosperity, I got so many questions from readers for additional insights, additional practices, and additional ways to take prosperity in bite-sized chunks. So I did prosperity from A to Z, which is A is for abundance, B is for balance, and all kinds of prosperity principles. And then they wanted more. So then I did the 30 P's to prosperity. They're all one page, bite-sized chunks of prosperity wisdom, prosperity practices, and prosperity principles. And since there are only 30, I tell people, if you do one each day while you are preparing for your day and work with one each day, within months, you will have developed such a prosperity consciousness that you will have to run away from all the blessings chasing you.
Oh, I like that. Okay, now I'm going to play the other side, the devil's advocate, as they say.
Yes.
But Reverend Webb, aren't we being materialistic in teaching the prosperity gospel? Aren't we giving our people false hope by teaching these principles?
Yes, prosperity has gotten such a bad rap because so many people have erroneously equated prosperity with, quote, money and stuff and materialism. But in truth, prosperity is much more than money and stuff. And prosperity begins within, with a sense of inner peace and oneness, which is connectedness with the source, with the one. And that's what spiritual growth, spiritual development, and spiritual pursuit is all about. So prosperity is actually a natural outgrowth of that consciousness of oneness. And prosperity can take many forms, such as professional prosperity, such as relationship prosperity, spiritual prosperity, where you have the peace that passes all understanding, and a prosperous life that is a life that is easy and without struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that may naturally be financial prosperity, where your finances are a source of peace and joy instead of a source of worry. So this is all a natural outgrowth of spiritual growth and development, and it is actually a natural outgrowth of the pursuit of our oneness with God, which is why we're here.
All right, so I want to also take a moment to comment on that. The preachers on TV, all right, they're saying give your way to prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only one part of it. If you are not working on your belief systems, your BS,
yes,
what'll happen is that, again, that you'll be broker than broke and the preacher will be richer than rich. So giving is a part of this, and that working on your belief systems, all the things that your mom and dad taught you, which is probably everything that their parents taught them and their parents before.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the opportunity in this new paradigm of new thought prosperity principles. We have the opportunity of being able to have a prosperous life. And, didn't Jesus say, I've come to give life and life more abundantly?
Mm-hmm.
That's in your New Testament. Also, Jesus said, again, quoting the Psalms, didn't they say in the Jewish Bible, didn't they say that ye are gods? So the prosperity principles that Jim teaches, that I teach, that others teach, what we do is we look at prosperity being holistic. It encompasses the whole person. Again, it's not just giving, but it's giving in the right way. It's giving that we start the flow of abundance. As we give, we do receive. But again, if we give out of spite, if we give, again, with that feeling of lack, then what's going to happen is that's going to be received back. So the prosperity principles that are taught in New Thought, what they do is they liberate you from that old thinking and even the old thinking of the prosperity gospels. So your comment, Reverend Jim Webb.
Yes, I love the idea that everything is energy. We learned that in science in fifth grade, and that energy is never created or destroyed. It only changes form. So what happens when we give with a full heart from a cup that is overflowing? We actually don't give, we magnify. So when you give with a full heart from a cup that's overflowing, not giving from lack, not giving from fear, not giving out of obligation or with resentment, but when you give from a full cup that is overflowing with a heart full of love, what you are doing is you are magnifying the magnanimous, note the pun here, the magnanimous energy of love. And what you magnify must show up in your outer world. So the more you magnify it, the more it shows up for you. And that love, we always say, what you give comes back to you tenfold.
Right.
And it can come back to you monetarily. It could come back to you in terms of a sense of well-being. It could come back to you in all the different forms of prosperity, because as you said, prosperity is holistic. But what you're doing is you're creating an energy flow and an energy magnification. And what I love to do is I love to equate that to what has been scientifically observable.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, I went to the Wharton School, and in the Wharton School, I learned economics. And there was this thing called the economic multiplier. And what that meant is, for example, if I had a plumbing problem and I brought a plumber to my house and I paid that plumber $10, the plumber was going to spend $9 of that and save $10. That $9 would go to 9 other people and they would spend $9. And so before you know it, that $10 I paid the plumber turns into $10,000 because it multiplies throughout the economy. Well, that's what happens when we share, when we give from a heart full of love, when we give from a cup overflowing, and when we give from the consciousness of abundance. It's that same energetic multiplier.
I have to put this comment up. This is from Henry Harris this evening. He says, he is looking so handsome tonight. I'm about to faint. Thank you, Brother Henry. We're going to have him on the show. I did ask him.
Yes.
Henry Harris has a wonderful, wonderful testimony of persistence and what happens when people say that you can't and you say, well, I'm going to prove them wrong because I can. All right. So we're talking about prosperity this evening with Reverend Jim Webb. So what are some of the common blocks? You work with people individually. What are some of the common blocks that you see in your counseling to prosperity or to a prosperous life?
Yes. One of the key common blocks that is worldly, and I'll put these into 2 separate categories: the secular common blocks and the spiritual common blockages to prosperity. One of the more secular common blockages to prosperity is the inner child and its miseducation. Now, I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail on Sunday evening when we are going to look at the inner child, a gateway to your prosperity. But the essence of it is we were miseducated as children. We were miseducated into believing there was something wrong with us. We were miseducated into believing that we were weak, undeserving, and therefore unable to allow the prosperity that the universe would heap upon us. And that childhood miseducation reverberates through everything that we create or miscreate. And that inner child still lives within us, waiting for us to come back and rescue it and heal it and re-educate it so it can say yes to the prosperity that God is offering us. You see, we often want prosperity with our conscious human minds.
Mm-hmm.
And God is offering us all the prosperity that we desire. But there's a child within us that has only learned no and only knows rejection, which is Brother Henry's next book, The Sting of Rejection. And that inner child was saying, no, this is foreign to me. This is not what I know. This is not what I believe. And that inner child could be blocking our prosperity. So that is one of the key secular blockages to our prosperity. And one of the key spiritual blockages to our prosperity is the erroneous idea of holy martyrdom. The erroneous belief that we must martyr ourselves in order to duplicate the martyrdom of the Jesus story, in order to prove ourselves worthy of God and atone for our sins. But what if we weren't sinful? What if God created us in God's image just as we are? What if there was no standard of perfection? What if that was just a cartoon? And what if there was nothing we needed to atone for? Then that whole paradigm would fly out the window, and we would know ourselves to be spiritually deserving of all the good God would heap upon us. And we would allow it because it's already there. We just have to allow it. So that's one spiritual and one secular key blockage to prosperity.
So if you're wondering what you've stumbled onto this evening, hello there, here on the New Thought Media Network. This is Reverend Michael Mangus. This is the Friday evening fireside chat. And we have on this evening the Reverend Jim Webb, who has authored several prosperity books, including his latest one called The 30 P's to Prosperity, which I love saying 30 P's so I can pop my microphone. So, Jim, you also teach other classes. Tell us about your latest pop-up class that you will be doing here in the next couple of weeks.
Yes. My latest pop-up class is entitled Creating the Kingdom of Heaven. And I work with spirit and allow spirit to speak through me. And this class introduces people to a very powerful, palpable energy that is extremely effective in helping us to heal and extremely powerful in enabling us to create the prosperity that we desire and deserve. And so this new energy is an energy that we can channel, that we can marshal in order to allow our prosperity. And so what this pop-up class does is it gives everyone an opportunity to talk to spirit, to ask a question of spirit on how they can create their own personal heaven on earth, what steps they can take, and how they can move forward. And this pop-up class is one night on Monday, October 26th from 7:30 to 9:30.
No, the 22nd.
Oh, thank you. The
22nd.
23rd.
No, Monday the 22nd.
Oh, I messed up with the date. Sorry about that.
That's why.
What's that Monday? Whatever Monday is the first Monday in the 20s in October. And this class is a bit of an introduction to the 2 6-week classes that I'm doing later. One is Creating Heaven on Earth. The other is Spirit Speaks on Reality Creation. Because we have an opportunity to totally renovate our reality right now.
Yes.
Because that's how powerful this new energy is. But we have to put together a plan for renovation. You just don't say, I want a new kitchen and come home swinging a sledgehammer. Right?
Well, some people do, but then they end up with the results, though.
Yes. Then they wind up on that HGTV show, Help, I Made a Mess. Come help me clean it up.
No, that's when they call you.
Yes.
And say, straighten out my life, Pastor.
Straighten out my life. Exactly. Exactly. So,
all right.
Yes. So that's what I'm up to.
All right. So this pop-up class, again, will be on the 22nd. Special one-time pop-up class, Spirit Speaks, Creating Heaven on Earth. This is kind of a teaser to the 6-week class that Jim will be doing. Now, Reverend Webb, I've told you, quit giving away the store. Here you are. You're going to start giving an extra 30 minutes a night during your workshops.
Yes.
An extra 30 minutes a night. What prompts you to do that?
It's so fascinating because what I've noticed happening over the last 6 weeks or so is that when we come together in the class, just like the scripture said, wherever two or more are gathered, so there shall I be. We have been feeling such a powerful anointing of spirit. And as a result of that powerful group energy, there is a period of laughter, there is a period of play, and there's a period of debriefing after. And this kind of bonds us together and helps us all to collectively drink in the powerful energy that the class has. And so it requires an extra half an hour for, let's call it uptake, and then let's call it after the class is over, just debriefing a little bit. And so everybody gets a chance to participate because my classes have grown so much that there are so many more people in them that more people have questions, more people want to interact, and I want to make sure I serve people to the best of my ability. Now, there's another thing that we're doing as well.
Yes.
And this is because my classes have gotten so big that I've had to limit access. So we have people, and there are some people, some of whom are watching tonight, who do subscriptions to my class. And what that means is if you can't take the class on the prescribed time, you can still get all the recordings and take advantage of everything that we're doing. And you can do that at a reduced rate. And what that does is it gives the people who attend interactively an opportunity to get as much time as possible asking their questions. And the fascinating thing is, if one person asks a question, then 10 other people have the question.
Oh,
so you're going to
absolutely.
get your questions answered anyway, even if you audit the class. So that's another option for you.
Yes, Tracy said, if I get her comment up here, she says, so powerful. I love the recordings. Yes. And the current pop-up class coming up here on the 22nd, it's $35. However, if you just want the recording, that's only $20. But again, you have to register way in advance here, or you may be shut out. You may have to get the recording.
Yes,
If you,
it's so true. I have sadly, over the last 2 class cycles, I've had to shut people out. And I don't like to do that, and I don't do that lightly. But sadly, we have to maintain quality as we grow. You know why Boston Chicken failed?
don't tell me.
Because they didn't maintain quality as they grew.
Mm-hmm.
We have to maintain quality as we grow. And that's why I have to limit the capacity for interaction but make the classes accessible to as many people as possible.
Absolutely wonderful. So again, the special one-time pop-up class, Spirit Speaks, Creating Heaven on Earth, again, channeled by Reverend Jim Webb. It's kind of a introductory class to his 6-week series coming up. Again, these classes sell out very quickly. So if you would like to get into the class, let me see if I can find your phone number somewhere in my banners.
You have it in your banners.
I think so, somewhere.
Somewhere into your
30
banners.
Ps. Yeah, my banners are here.
Yes.
There you go. It's 202-253-6009. 202-253-6009. Again, the classes are going to sell out. All right, that's guaranteed. The question is whether or not you're going to be in the class, or you're going to have to get the recordings. So again, this is coming up the 22nd. And again, it's the preview to the 6-week series. 202-253-6009. Let's see who's commenting here. Reverend Webb is an inspiration to me. Brother Henry Harris.
Reverend Brother Henry is an inspiration to me as well.
Yes.
His persistence, his perspective, his positivity. He is actually the embodiment of the 30 Ps to prosperity.
Yeah. Henry, we're going to have on the show here in the next few weeks. All right. Get out of that. All right. You can tell I'm producing the program too.
Yes.
I'm wearing many hats this evening.
Yes. Well, I had another inspiration recently,
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Pastor Michael,
Yes.
and I will be starting this very shortly. It's a new blog that is broader than spirituality. It's called Help Me Understand This. And they're going to be brief snippets, either video, likely video, but it's going to be brief snippets that bring logic and sanity to living our lives. So, for example, one snippet might be, help me understand this. The same parents who want to ban books because they think parents need more control over their children's education want to keep other parents from supporting their children who find that they are trans? Help me understand that. Help me understand this.
Help me understand it. So what's your current take on the news and what is going on in the world? What's on your prayer list, Reverend
What's
Webb?
on my prayer list is peace for all, that we might all remember that we are one with the source and force for love, that love can heal our hearts and heal any idea of separation and the destructive effects of the false idea that we are separated from God or each other. For what we are seeing is the most deleterious effects of the illusion of separation. And when we can all come into oneness with our highest selves and the most high love of God, all separation and oppression shall cease.
When we
And
see, go ahead.
many people have asked me, so what is the spiritual significance of this horrific thing that we are experiencing? And one of the things that I think about when people ask me this is lesson 239, 240 in A Course in Miracles. I will not judge anything that occurs, for all things are of God. And when people look at me blank because a part of us is revolted by everything that we see, I remember what Spirit has said to me over the last 30 years since I've been channeling. Spirit started this back in 1995 with the Oklahoma City bombing. And you might remember the picture of a firefighter holding that little baby girl. The baby girl had one booty on, one booty off, and she had a little band around her forehead. Her name was Bailey Allman. And when that picture went viral, before we even had an internet, when that picture went viral, everybody said, how could this happen to such a young and innocent being? And Spirit had a different perspective. Spirit said, this soul volunteered to come to the earth, knowing that this would be the soul's fate, knowing that this picture would be seen by a high percentage of people in the world, because this picture would be a symbol of the destructiveness of hate. And by volunteering to be a symbol for the destructiveness of hate, this will help heal humanity, because when humanity sees that stark image, a large number of people in humanity and a large part of the heart of humanity will choose love over hate.
Yes.
And every time something like this happens, it is an opportunity to see the destructive nature of hate and to choose love instead, so that ultimately we will choose only love and only experience loving circumstances.
And that's the reason why I have said here on this broadcast and others that we're all here now in our awakened, not better state, but our awakened state to help others and assist others in their awakening. Yes. I agree with Reverend Jim. There is such a powerful energy that's being unleashed on the planet right here, right now. And the reason being is because, again, out of this chaos will come peace. We don't see it yet.
Yes.
But the reason that you and I are here and the reason that Jim's here is, again, to be love on this planet and to show other people, to bring other people along, to show them that there is a better way, is that we can have a world that's free of racism, that we can have a world that's free from bigotry, that we do not judge a man or woman by the color of their skin. We are all here to bring the new heaven and the new earth. And I'm not talking from Revelation. I'm talking about the whole idea that we are here at this time, again, to shift the planet. And that's the reason why we have this wonderful network. I believe that we are here as light bringers, all of us. Doesn't matter whether you have a show on our network or not, or do other things. We are all here this time, this incarnation, to assist the planet in its awakening. Right now, it doesn't look very pretty. However, out of that chaos will come peace.
Yes.
Yes. Your comments, Reverend Jim Webb.
Yes. And healing is repetitive, incremental, and cumulative. So yes, we go over, since 1995, we've gone through crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis. They've shown us the same thing, how destructive the energy of hatred can be. And each time, incrementally more people and incrementally more of our consciousness chooses love instead of hate. But this is cumulative, so we will get there. And it begins with each and every one of us, just like that song, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and let it begin with me.
Tracy said, need to hop off to tend to the kiddos. Thank you for sharing your light. Good evening to all. And also from Facebook user, love always wins. You just better believe it.
Amen.
All right. You're not going to believe this.
Oh no, it can't be out of time.
We're out of time.
Wow, it's felt like 2 minutes.
I know. Listen, if you want to, let's plug the class one more time here. Coming up here in a couple of weeks here, special one-time pop-up class, Spirit Speaks, Creating Heaven on Earth, channeled by Reverend Jim Webb. Monday the 22nd, it's $35. However, again, these classes sell out very, very quickly. You need to call Jim now at 202-253-6009 or go on his website, the reverendjimwebb.com, register for the classes and find out more about what Reverend Jim Webb is doing. And also, you can see him every single week at 8 o'clock Eastern here on your New Thought Media Network for the Miracle of Prosperity. So, Jim, give us a preview of this week's show.
Yes. The title of it is Your Inner Child, Your Gateway to Prosperity. And what we're going to explore is the child that lives within us. And we're going to explore how that child has been miseducated to block prosperity and how we can re-educate and heal that child to allow prosperity instead.
That's 8 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time here on your New Thought Media Network, Sunday evenings with the Reverend Jim Webb and the Miracle of Prosperity. Thank you, my friend, for coming on at such short notice.
My pleasure.
I'll try
as long as I have time to go to the closet and get a blue jacket.
I'm not going to say it anymore. Jim Webb, again, thank you very much. And we will see you Sunday evening then. Thank you, my friend.
See you then. God bless.
All right.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. We're all out of time here. Thank you so very much for being with us. We will see you. We'll probably run a show next week because I'll be at conference. But again, all of our shows are on YouTube. So take advantage of that, all the replays of all of our shows here on the New Thought Media Network. For Jim Webb, I am Reverend Michael Mangus. I'm going to wish you a wonderful night, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.